What's up, world? It's your dude, Darryl K. Like I promised you, we got our group discussion about the infamous Walking Dead. We're going to sit up here, compare and contrast the differences between the TV show and the comic book. We're going to do volume 1 of the comic book and season 1 of the TV show. I got my crew with me today.
Matthew.
Quinn.
Willie.
Allie.
So guys, let's get started. First, let's touch on the characters. Let's talk about the differences between the TV show with the characters from the comic book.
Well, sadly to say, and sorry girls, but there is no Darryl yet.
But I'm here, so it's okay, ladies. I'm here.
It's true. It's true, but there is no Darryl. As far as I know, there's no Merle. Nope.
No
So,
T-Dog, no T-Dog. Yeah,
No.
don't forget about T-Dog.
T-Dog.
No shopping center.
Yeah, so that just says the whole dynamic is actually just slightly different. Actually, they were able to pull it off in the book, same as the TV show. They're very different entities.
Let's talk about Rick as a person. Let's start with the main character. Let's talk about Rick Grimes. The thing I found that was a big difference between the TV show Rick and I felt like this Rick was actually kind of just a little bit more just, what's the word for it? I can't even think of the word. Like a little bit more accepting of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it a little more,
Yeah.
a little more passive.
Yeah, a little bit more passive.
Reckoning? The one in the series.
Yeah, the one in the comic book series is a lot
Yeah.
more passive than the
Yeah.
one shown on
Well, yeah,
television.
because he's been in a coma for what, like
A month.
a month or two?
Yeah.
And when he comes to, life as he knows it is gone.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, that occurs in both the TV show and the comic, but I think because the pacing, like, you only have one page in here to really set the tone, like, he's in a coma, he woke up, there's zombies, oh my god, okay, let's get into the actual storyline. With the TV show, they had a 90-minute intro trailer, kind of a pilot episode, and so they had a lot more leisurely pace, and I think it was a lot more believable in the TV show than in
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right, you know, he's got that whole sense of,
Whoa.
yeah, he has no sense of where he is or what happened, where his family is.
Well, the pacing is definitely important. I'm glad that Allie actually brought that up. The pacing is, like, yeah, she noticed the difference between the TV show and the comic book is that, like she said, you only had, like, literally the first page to set the tone. I mean, when you think about it, when he met Morgan, they didn't really show everything that happened with him and his kid or whatever. It was kind of just like, hey, who are you? Don't worry about that. I'm about to feed you. Oh, okay, you my friend now. Like, it was just like, you know.
There's zombies, hey, you wanna go hit one with like a shovel? Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Like you said, with like when you're introduced to the character of Morgan and his son Dwayne, like you know, because here's Rick, he's fresh out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Next thing he knows, bam! There's this kid hitting him in the face with a goddamn shovel. And
Yeah.
father goes, shit, son, this guy's not one of these zombies. He's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
living, breathing human being like you and I. You know?
Right.
They didn't show the conflict they had because, you know, as a father, some crazy, excuse me, some white guys walking down the street with no clothes on.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Grabs him, you know what I'm saying? He's just
I don't care what color he is, if you're walking around the streets.
with boxes on and an open shirt. He's like,
Yeah.
In a hospital,
man.
I don't know about this.
Right now.
But the thing is, what I did like though with the TV series, the first episode was when Rick is, you know, right as he's coming out of the hospital and he sees, you know, what's going on and he sees the zombie walking up, and then he's waving like,
Hey!
right, and then all of a sudden you just see this guy who, Eric Glass, the color, walks up, puts a gun to the guy's head, and bang! And it's shocking, you know, which is understandable, but he doesn't realize.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Right, you know, the world has changed, and then the next thing he knows, there's this little 10-year-old kid with a shovel, wham, right across the face.
The
Oh,
other part
Christ.
too is when he was in the bed, like, you killed that man.
Yeah.
Like, you killed that man.
Yeah,
And, like, you know, and they didn't go into that. They didn't go into that in the book. It was just
No.
like, so I think the show, the comparison between the show and the book, that the show, like you said, the theme of it was just like, it was harder.
Yeah, oh, very much so.
Because like you walk down the street, you see that, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
Well, one of the biggest things that I love about the show character-wise is that my man Glenn in the comic is the Flash. Like, he's like literally the Flash in the comic. Like, I love that. Like, Glenn is the man.
Right.
Like the one thing I did like also too that's actually they did do in the TV show the whole thing when they put the zombie blood over them to sleep back
Yes,
Yeah.
guts.
That was
So
pretty
too.
That was great.
That was pretty
Yes.
cool. That was actually
Whereas in
pretty
this
awesome.
TV series, they got the idea, oh, well, here, let's try that. And that kind of like, for me, I didn't like that. That's one, in the series, the comic book series, I liked it. You know, Rick said, well, wait a minute, I noticed one that they don't go after each other. And okay, well here, we'll try this. Oh, most important thing, don't let any of this get in your eyes, your nose, or your mouth.
Well, that's why they put on the long sleeve shirts and stuff and
Right,
extra
yeah.
pants and stuff on the TV show. It was a lot more gory.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was so great is, well, you can tell it's Kirkman who's also writing the series, the TV show.
Some of the
Because
episodes.
some of
Not all the
So when they're
episodes.
walking, but when they show them doing it, and I remember watching it here at the shop, and we were busting out laughing. We were tearing the zombies apart.
You were laughing, dude. That was disgusting. Oh my
Yes,
god.
it was. But you see, that's what I think is so funny. Kirkman's also, in the comic series, it's kind of making fun of the genre itself. I mean, look who's writing the afterwords for these comics. Like, what's it?
Romero, wasn't it?
Romero did one, I believe, but no, what's the Zion Peg?
Yeah.
He said this
Well,
is like the never-ending zombie story.
Well, yeah.
And it's high time someone
Well,
did this.
when you
know?
first read Walking Dead, right, Robert Kirkman tells you basically, like, this isn't your typical horror. This is not really a horror book. This is kind of just like, hey, we're giving you zombies and we're going to follow Rick through his whole life,
This isn't
even
a
after
zombie book,
even
this is a
after he's
survival
dead.
book.
Right, whereas something like everything that's come before, he's kind of been like, mostly it's like a zombie movie.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like if you look at like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, it always ends with, okay, then the survivors got away. Well, what Kirkman's done was, what's that?
Or didn't. Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, or didn't.
Yeah.
And what Kirkman's done is, well, okay, well now here's what's happened with the survivors.
Oh, yeah.
And also the name is so clever, The Walking Dead. When you finally find out who the Walking Dead really are,
Yes.
Right.
right? And it's like, oh, that's so brilliant because
Yeah.
it's only a matter of time before whether we die getting attacked or natural causes. Okay,
Or
it's-
somebody accidentally pop you.
yeah. Case in point, the governor. This man is dead to his humanity. Right. This.
But
he,
see,
he
but
let
see-
his little girl
But that's not
live.
in
But see,
volume one.
that's not
I
about
know.
it. It's not about it.
I'm just saying.
But no, you bring up a good point though. Actually, reading the comic and from watching the TV show, that you can see men like Merle, who's not in the comic, are the men that actually do survive in that kind of world.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because it makes you kind of question, like, what? Yeah.
You know what? It's
humanity
almost
itself.
social Darwinism at that point.
It really is,
survival
yeah.
of the fittest.
Yes.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question. All right, if the world became, if one day the world became that way, could you take a life or take a fake life? Well, not a fake life, but take a zombie's life.
Take a zombie life for
Well, they're already
Or,
dead.
well, they already did. I'm just saying. But could you? Because
See, I know,
when you shoot something and you see
The reality.
stuff explode, you know what I'm saying? It's like not a movie, it's real life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
Could you do
exactly. That's a good. That's
I don't think any of us can say because
Yeah.
right, until you've been down that.
Willie actually kind of sympathized in season 2 of Walking Dead with Herschel,
Yeah.
because I would almost be torn between, what if that was your family member? How would you feel if someone said, you need to put him down, he's dangerous?
I mean, but no, remember though, you saw what happened when Morgan didn't kill his wife. You saw what happened with that.
Right. He just he broke down before he could even do it.
Yeah.
As soon as he got in the crosshairs,
And then
it
his
was
son
like,
suffered for it.
right.
So yeah, I mean,
No.
Well, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion, and I've had this conversation with my wife, and this is
Well,
where we
I
want
think
to
you
come. I would kill my wife.
Well,
She was like right here, right now. But we had a conversation where it was like I asked her if my boys got bit or something, could she do it? And she was like, no, they would just have to kill her. I was like, I don't know.
Right. Well, that's a hard,
Yeah,
that's a hard decision.
I
to
just
make.
call me cold-hearted, but I'm like, I would rather me take my children's life than
Than
take
anybody else.
else.
Yeah.
Because I know in my head it's like, no, you killed my son. But I would rather take my son's life. I don't know if anybody played the video game or whatever, but that's something
well,
different.
first of all, that video game, and that video game like actually had you crying by the end of it.
Yeah,
It's so
right.
good. You're just like, oh my
No.
god,
That good, or-
yeah, it's great.
Sorry to go off topic.
You played the game?
Yeah, I mean, but no, definitely get the Walking Dead video game. It's great.
Yeah.
So let me ask
If
you
you ain't
guys
got
on
a
content.
PlayStation or whatever, get one of those too.
Yeah, so on content, guys, honestly, Tony Moore, I feel like does a fantastic job. I hate Black and
Oh
White
my
books.
God, Tony Moore
But Tony
is.
Moore does
Grayscale.
such a great job in Grayscale. My question to you guys is if this works for the comic book, do you think if the setting of The Walking Dead and the TV show was put into grayscale or black and white.
They did it.
What
They
would-
did.
the
I'm
first-
not gonna lie, I didn't like it.
See, I would think that would set a completely different tone to it.
I didn't like it.
Yes, but you got to remember, it kind of goes back to like I was saying. What's to this day and age, what is considered one of the definitive zombie movies? Night of the Living Dead. What was it?
I love that.
Black and white.
Yeah.
I did see the special edition of episode 1 of Walking Dead in black and white. Part of me liked it, but in the same breath, I gotta agree with some of you saying, "Well, no, I didn't like that,"
Yeah.
because getting back to like what Quinn said, like with you see how he is in the series. Well, in the ongoing series, and that's another thing I want to clear up. When those of us who are comic book readers, when we talk about Walking Dead, oh, you're reading that series, and then there's people who just are fans of the TV show. And it's
Right.
like, okay, are you following the series? And it's
Right.
like, wait a minute, do you mean the television series? Okay,
Yeah.
Are you following the comic or are you watching the television?
Well, first of all, they're on 2 different pages for
They
one.
really
Yeah.
are.
Oh, yeah.
So many people are dead now
Yeah,
that are
some
not dead in the
people are
comic.
dead.
Yeah.
And you know
Absolutely.
what? And you know what that makes
Which I
that
agree.
unique? Because I feel like you can't just sit down and watch this and then watch season 1 and go like, all right,
You don't
rehash.
That's what I did. And I got
That's what I wanted
Yeah.
at first.
Right.
Now I appreciate it for what it is.
What's
Oh,
that?
yeah, of course.
At first, when I first saw the TV show, anything that wasn't canon, like I hated Darryl and Merle, I hated Shane was still alive, I hated all that stuff. And now watching it again, because we're doing it back to back, I'm like, okay, this makes so much more sense now.
Right.
And that comes from being a comic book fan because we do it all the
true.
time.
Well, first of all, I'm glad you brought up Shane. Let's talk about Shane real quick because he is a crucial character
Shane
in the
is
TV show.
scary in the TV
In
show.
the TV show, yes, he's very
And you
scary.
actually kind of wonder how you see how he killed him so quick in the comic, how long he lasts in the TV show.
Well, I think what the reason that he killed him so quick in the comic was because Kirkman didn't know how long this show was going to last.
Well, true, and also because
And
I was probably thinking it was because he was a fan favorite too.
Right.
People
Like-
love Shane.
You say his fan favorite in the book? Or
No, it's
No,
TV
it's
series.
Oh, okay.
Like his
And
stern
you know what?
personality.
And you know what? He was my fan favorite. I can honestly say I liked that he was that scary personality, but you almost wanted to sympathize with him
He
because
tried to because
Yeah, because he was
You
there
tried
for
to.
Laurie.
You do.
yeah, that was my.
But the
I ain't
thing
gonna-
is, what I loved though was, I think it was the second season, which would kind of come under, the volume 1.
Oh yeah.
Was when they're by the side of the road and
Yes.
you see the helicopter flying by and he goes, Jesus Christ Almighty. And she's like, what is it? He goes, they're dropping napalm into the city. Napalm. Something that chemical warfare.
Right.
That, we're trying, the government would do anything, just, okay, to wipe it out. Well, you idiots, that can go airborne and then it spreads to whoever. One thing I would like to figure out is, and they haven't even addressed this, I don't know, hopefully they'll do it in this season. When Rick finally, he's got everything under control, he gets the guns and everything, and he rides into Atlantic City, and there's that helicopter flying by.
They didn't. Yeah.
They have yet to divulge
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And even in the comic books, well, the series they have done it now. I know
Yeah,
that.
they did it now.
But look how late it took them to do it now in
Yeah.
the series.
Well,
Because I thought, was that with the governor or something? But that had nothing to do with the governor. It was like,
Yeah.
so there's other people, but who are these people? I mean,
that's another thing to think about too, and also too about.
and also that had to be one of the, that was straight from the comic when they
Oh, yeah, true.
swarm on that horse and Rick's
Well-
like, you sick. Oh shit. Okay, well, we'll eat you too.
Well, another thing too is also the type of setting too that Volume 1 was in. They kind of stayed on the camp the whole time in Volume 1. Season 1, they kind of actually, did leave
Got it.
eventually.
Yeah,
Take it out. After that whole thing happened. First, no, I gotta talk about, what about Dale, Because Dale was kind of, And just the fact knowing now that he actually kind of banged Andrea.
yeah, I was reading.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Dale's a much younger man though.
Yeah, that's true.
Here's the
yeah.
thing.
And he lost his wife, and that's why he
know.
That's one thing that made me angry, because at first they were like, Andrew's no longer like 20 years old. Now she's like pushing 30. And I was like, oh, it's because it's gonna be a little more.
Pushing a bit hard.
Anyway, regardless, she is not 18. And I thought, oh, this is so it'll be more acceptable for her to hook up with Dale. And you kind of get like the kindred spirits thing in the first episode, first season or whatever. And then what they did to her and her character, they just destroyed her. They didn't give her a chance. They were like, nope, you're done. We wrote you poorly. Sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna bang Shane in the car on the way back to the
She
farm.
banged every stupid person.
Right, and for those of you who are watching this and are following the actual
spoilers.
Walking Dead comic series, well, if you know exactly that Andrea's still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Very alive.
So is Sophia, which I thought was great how they did her death though. I mean, even though, because, you know, you're like, everyone, I think, who was watching the series was like, well, where the hell is Sophia? And then they show the barn and the, you know, the zombies coming out, and then they go
And
show
you know
the
what
barn and
the
you're
funny
like,
thing was? And the funniest thing was,
God, she was in there the whole time.
and the funniest thing about the whole thing was like, do you really hate Herschel for keeping them zombies done now?
Right.
Because Sophia was in there. That was the craziest thing about it.
Right.
I'm sure he didn't know.
Well, but still,
Right.
for him, just a strong compassion.
Yeah.
For it to be Sophia inside, you know?
Yep.
That was
Yeah,
one.
that was a hard episode.
Right,
It was.
and the thing is, but the thing is, if they would have known, because Herschel didn't really know. All he knows is Otis, who was gathering them all up. He said, "Okay, I found you know, another bunch of them." But Otis would have mentioned, "Hey, I found a little girl zombie, you know, or a little child," and
But don't forget by the time.
but they could have been right because he saw what Shane did. He goes, "You can't make it. You're not going to make it, are you?" And it was just like,
I feel like that
Bang,
scene
shot.
too was actually supposed to be the scene from the comic when they killed Shane. Getting into Carl as a character.
Right.
But that whole scene when he freaked out in front of the bar, I felt like that was his freak out before the final confrontation at the end of the second season or whatever.
Right.
But getting back to Shane or whatever, I mean Carl, because he's pretty important. As you know, people that haven't read the comic spoilers again, Carl actually killed Shane, but not zombie Shane, like
Very
real Shane.
alive.
Yeah, real life Shane.
yeah, but Shane was going to try to kill Rick and Carl too.
You had the gun pointed at
Right.
Rick,
Yeah, he
and
did.
then
He
off,
did.
you know,
I
yeah.
don't know where, right across the neck.
Right.
Right through
And then
there.
next page, Carl just there like, dang, it's different from killing zombies, and you're like, oh.
That was his coming of age moment, and I feel like they robbed him of that in the TV show.
They did.
But-
Because
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know.
Right.
He still
Because-
killed a man, but it's a zombie, and it's not
Yeah,
the same thing. He
because-
didn't know he was killing because he was a zombie, not because he was, you know, jeopardizing his father's life.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
But it was interesting. I went to the Philly Wizard World Comic Con this past month, and the guy who played Shane was on there, and I always hated his character, and I just thought he was a waste of like film time. But seeing him and him explaining the his character's motivation, like he saw the zombie like you know apocalypse as like his fresh start, and Lori and Carl could be the thing that would save his humanity. And when it was ripped away from him, he would do anything to save that sense of humanity. And he said the reason his character Shane took Rick out into that field was so that Rick could stand up and be the man who he needed to be and kill Shane, so he could be the man who he needs to be to raise his family. Because he felt like he was making so many terrible choices.
Right.
He could give ultimate sacrifice of himself. So
And that is your boy, Quan. How you feel about that?
I actually really like that, you know. I don't think it was as well conveyed as it was challenging Rick and his authority. I feel like he was really going off the deep end there for a little bit. I feel like that one scene always really creeps me out is I think in the very beginning of season 2 he is in the bathtub shaving his head. And he wipes off the mirror and just looks himself in the eyes, and it's just freaky.
he's just dead inside. He's just
Yeah.
like, I have nothing to lose now.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I killed the man
So-
to save this your son. So hey.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts, guys?
With the exception of them killing off Sophia, you know, I kind of didn't like that.
And a lot of people that actually read the comic didn't like that.
Right.
Actually.
Well, what I think is so funny, and I think I've mentioned this before, there's a lot of the people, those of us who are following the comic book series, we can take or leave the TV show. Those who are following the TV show,
They can't go to the.
yeah, they don't like the comic. It's like, why isn't it more like the TV series? Well,
It
I-
came first.
right. It's like, I'll give you a case in point. I knew a guy who had seen the movie The Crow.
Yeah.
Loved it. He said, I read the comic sucked. Why wasn't it like the movie? I was like,
No.
Yo.
you're a moron, okay?
Oh, so
Not the same thing about the Crow, but
I mean, I like the Crow, yeah, but let's think about why the Crow did as well as it did.
Brandon
Because-
Lee's face.
man.
Yeah, but also the mean his death.
Son.
Yeah,
Yes.
his death.
Yes.
That
It's
played-
a cult classic.
Yeah, okay. But hey, you know, but getting back to like The Walking Dead, I myself, I'm definitely a big fan of this comic series. The TV series, okay, I can see why they went that route.
Well,
But I think I forgot who mentioned it. or maybe you did, Quinn, that it seems to be like they're taking their own sweet time, and like some of these like this season when he met up with Morgan. Well, that should be
Not
like
Morgan, with what's his name?
Right.
No, Tyrese.
Yeah, Tyrese.
Yes.
He's like, he shows up. No, actually, he shows up in volume 2.
Yeah.
Right. But even so, he's like, he should have showed up in the second season, or like.
Well, that's just how some people are already dead.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's like we come back to the pacing of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is different. That's
true,
really what
too.
it comes down to. Is like you got to pace the show different from the comic book, and that's really honestly all it comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest thing that I loved about the TV show was that the characters that you didn't have, your T-Dogs and your Darryls, and I'm so glad they actually put Darryl on the show just because people forget with all this technology that people like Darryl still exist in this world.
Yeah,
And people like that do survive, and it was great of them to have a character like that in the show. And it was
Living
cool
off
to
the
see
grid.
it. Yeah, living off the grid. I mean,
Well,
he's used to like saying, "Hey, let's go hunting for like squirrels and stuff." I mean, come on,
Right.
he's the man.
Well, I think it's in maybe maybe this volume, or no, something else entirely for like Crossed. So, same thing, apocalypse, man-made apocalypse, whatever. But people who farmers, hunters, people who basically are living off the grid, they would survive compared to people who have been the new Jaguar doctors you'd always need there, but a nurse.
Well, it even shows how even when you're like a veterinarian, how you still
You could be useful,
how you
right?
can be
Because that's right. Because Herschel was a veterinarian.
veterinarian. I mean, I don't know, Ellie. I mean, what about you? What's your final thoughts?
The one thing I really dislike between the differences between the show and the comic are the zombies' capabilities. Specifically in season 1 and season 2, they toned it back. But in season 1, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a zombie that leaps onto a fence. They're able to climb ladders. They're not even just jogging there. Some of them are super huffing it along.
Yeah.
So I didn't care for that so much, but they definitely toned it back in the second and third seasons.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
Thank God.
Yeah, because when Glenn saves Rick,
That guy starts climbing the ladder.
yeah, and in the
Ted's
comics,
not able to support that ass.
he says, "Man, come on." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Well, why can't we go through the buildings?" He goes, "Because there's probably a whole bunch of zombies in the buildings." And second of all, he says, before they figure out how to climb the ladder, we'll be 3
Well,
rooms
see,
away.
that reminded me of even going back to Jurassic Park when the raptors start opening up the doors and crash.
Well, yes, and then also Morgan's
from the
wife.
book.
This is the
She's
other
not
thing.
in the
Morgan's
book, so-
wife in the TV show acknowledges the house they are staying in and tries to open the door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
That's
do they
right.
have thoughts? And then also with Amy and Andrea, she kind of looks up at her with this sense of recognition.
Before
at
trying
first.
to munch on her.
But then they kill it off later. So it's would you just please pick one? Just decide.
Yeah,
That's all I want.
yeah, that is true. That's something people forget about.
But they still have
Thoughts and
something
cognition.
well, they that was
Which they kind of kill off at the end of the season.
Well, the funny thing is, if you've been following the series, Morgan's a good example when with his son. And right, but what's so funny is in the actual comic, he says, "No, Rick, let me do it." And right, he doesn't kill his son, but you got to watch that because as they're driving, he's like, "Okay, let's go," and they take off, and then you see the little boy. He's a zombie, obviously. Dad, why was he trying to call to his father?
He better not have been.
No,
I need to go rewatch that. I don't like that.
No.
No, it's in the comic. He's maybe maybe he's trying to form the words "dad" or whatever, but it makes you think. Wait a minute, maybe
It does. I mean, Willie, what about you? Any last thoughts? Yeah.
I think both mediums are good. A person going on with what Matt said, a person going into it watching the TV show, and they go to the book, they look at it like, oh, this is a cartoon. And people are like that, and a lot of stuff with comic books and film. Like my wife, she can watch Avengers, but if I give her a book of Avengers,
she can't read it.
shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? but I think both mediums are great.
Right.
I find myself going to the book more because when I read comic books, it's like a mini movie for me. That's why I get books in trade. So I just like part 1 of the movie, or part 2 of the movie. Right. So I like the books better, personally.
Okay. Want to wrap it up, one?
So I feel like this is a really good read. Anybody that hasn't read this, absolutely recommend it. I'm actually one that actually went from the TV show to the book, and I was able to understand what they were. You know, obviously this book came first, but I appreciate that they tried to give kind of an alternate to what the book was, and it wasn't just rehashed on screen. So I mean, Robert Kirkman did a really good job of that.
Okay.
So for everyone here, Darryl K Says, just like to wrap it up.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
All right.
And that's what Darryl K Says.
Do we want to discuss this a little later, or are we done with this? It ran pretty long.
Yeah, I do.